Grab your ear pro and step up to the bench. We need to have a serious talk about ballistics and the reality of terminal performance. Look around any gun store today. You are drowning in marketing graphics, polymer chassis, and slick ad campaigns. The industry pushes a new super cartridge every single SHOT Show. They promise you flat trajectories, zero wind drift, and magical knockdown power. But let me tell you what I see after decades on the firing line. A lot of new shooters are being sold a bill of goods. They are stuffing their safes with 6.5 Creedmoor rifles. Meanwhile, they are completely ignoring the absolute sledgehammers that built American gun culture. Physics is a stubborn thing. A heavy piece of lead moving at the right speed is just as devastating today as it was a century ago. Right now, in 2026, I am watching a massive counter-movement. Guys trekking through the Wyoming high country and the dense timber of the East Coast are waking up. They are dusting off the legacy rounds. Why? Because when a 1,200-pound animal is staring you down, you want proven, catastrophic terminal performance, not a shiny marketing brochure. Let's dig into the 5 historical powerhouses that are making a massive comeback. Number 5. The 7x57mm Mauser. We are stepping into the time machine and dialing it back to 1892. Paul Mauser engineered this absolute masterpiece, and I will say it right now. This is the baseline that all modern combat and hunting ammunition is measured against. It is the perfect triad of flat shooting, manageable recoil, and massive tissue damage. The Spanish forces used it to devastating effect. It chewed through troops in the Spanish-American War and the Boer War. This round was the Grim Reaper of the black powder era. It forced the entire world to adopt high-velocity smokeless powder. Frankly, the legendary 3006 Springfield is just a direct, scaled-up descendant of this exact case geometry. Let's look at the specs. You are launching a .284 caliber projectile. It sits perfectly in a rimless, bottlenecked brass casing. Overall length is right at 2.244 inches. Now pay attention to the chamber pressures. The American SAAMI spec brutally neuters this cartridge. They limit it to 51,000 psi. They have to because someone might chamber it in a 130-year-old relic and blow the receiver apart. But over in Europe, the CIP standards let this dog off the leash at 57,000 psi. If you are pressing your own brass for a modern Winchester or Ruger bolt action, you can unleash its true potential. Load up a heavy 140 to 175 grain slug. It hits like a runaway freight train. The sectional density is off the charts. That means it penetrates deep, shattering heavy bone and tearing through vitals. W.D.M. Bell famously dropped over 1,000 elephants with this exact caliber. He relied on 175 grain solids and surgical shot placement. Your biggest headache today is feeding the gun. Commercial boxes are anemic, and finding virgin brass is tough compared to the ubiquitous 308 Winchester. But for the dedicated handloader, that long neck seats heavy projectiles perfectly without compressing your powder charge. Drop a 160 grain partition on top of some IMR 4350. You have a world-class hunting rig. No Magnum recoil, no flinching, just pure effectiveness. Number 4. The 257 Roberts. This is the aristocrat of the quarter-bore family. We affectionately call it the Bob in the reloading community. It strikes a flawless balance between speed and shooter comfort. Ned Roberts started tinkering with this as a wildcat project in the 1920s. Remington finally legitimized it in 1934. They grabbed the 7x57 Mauser brass. They necked it down to hold a .257 caliber bullet. The result is a 2.233-inch cartridge fired by a large rifle primer. SAAMI maxes it out at 54,000 psi. Why does the Bob command so much respect among the old guard? It is the ultimate dual-purpose tool. Run a light bullet, and it is a laser beam for coyotes and prairie dogs. Step up the grain weight, and it anchors medium game without a second thought. But the real magic happens at the buttstock. The recoil impulse is incredibly soft. If you have a new shooter who is developing a nasty flinch from a 3006, hand them a Bob. They will stack rounds through the same hole all afternoon. The catch? You will be hunting for ammo before you ever hunt in the woods. It is rarely stocked next to the .243 Winchester or the .250-06 Remington, but at the reloading bench, this thing is a powerhouse. It stabilizes a wide spectrum of lead, from 75-grain lightweights up to the 100-grain bone crushers. Fill the case with H4831. If your rifle action is built for it, you can push it to +P velocities. That +P rating puts it right in the same neighborhood as the .250-06. It never won the popularity contest on the sales floor, but guys who truly understand ballistic coefficients swear by it. It outpunches the .243 and shoots much smoother than the .250-06. Number 3. The 4570 Government. Let's talk about pure American muscle. The United States military adopted this beast back in 1873. The recipe was brutally simple. A .45 caliber lead brick, propelled by 70 grains of black powder, weighing in at a massive 405 grains. Fired out of the old Springfield trapdoor, they appropriately called it the Thumper. And the craziest part? This black powder relic is seeing more trigger time in 2026 than it did half a century ago. The massive spike in modern tactical lever-action builds brought it roaring back. This is a colossal, straight-walled piece of rimmed brass. It launches projectiles ranging from 250 to well over 500 grains. If your target is inside 150 yards, this round hits like a falling piano. The hydrostatic shock is absolutely devastating. It has put down every single dangerous predator on the North American continent. This is your ultimate thick brush insurance policy. A fast, light bullet gets thrown off course by a small twig. A 4570 punches straight through the timber and finds the target. But you must memorize the 3 specific pressure tiers for this cartridge. Tier 1 is strictly for antique trapdoors. Low pressure only. Run modern loads in an antique, and you are holding a pipe bomb. Tier 2 is built for modern lever guns. Your Marlin 1895s and Henry repeaters. This is your standard heavy-duty hunting load. Tier 3 is the danger zone. These are exclusively for high-strength falling blocks like the Ruger No. 1, or heavily reinforced bolt actions. These nuclear loads turn this frontier cartridge into an African safari stopper. The recoil on a Tier 3 load is violently punishing. It will rock you right out of your boots. Sure, the trajectory drops like a thrown rock past 200 yards, but if you are tracking a wounded grizzly, or you are wiping out a sounder of feral hogs in the thickest brush imaginable, this is the undisputed heavyweight champion. Number 2. The .264 Winchester Magnum. Let's shift gears and talk about raw, blistering speed. Decades before the 6.5 Creedmoor was even a blueprint on a desk at Hornady, Winchester unleashed an absolute ballistic missile. Introduced in 1959, this is a belted Magnum case, born directly from the legendary 375 H&H. Winchester built this specifically to dominate the wide-open western hunting grounds, and it was a masterpiece of internal ballistics. It takes a .264 caliber, 140-grain pill, and it shoves it out the muzzle at nearly 3,200 feet per second. If you had to drop a mule deer across a massive canyon where range-finding was a guess, you used the .264. Chambered in the gorgeous Model 70 Westerner, it was untouchable. But the crown was stolen quickly. In 1962, the 7mm Remington Magnum arrived. It offered a wider array of bullet weights, and it was slightly kinder to the barrel steel. That pretty much suffocated the .264 in the commercial market. But if we are strictly talking ballistics, this cartridge absolutely wrecks the modern 6.5 PRC and the Creedmoor in sheer velocity. There is a cost to that speed, though. This is a textbook overbore cartridge. You are forcing a massive column of burning powder through a tiny exit hole. That creates a blowtorch effect right at the chamber throat. They earned their reputation as barrel burners. Modern steel alloys have mitigated that a bit, but this is not the gun you take to the range for a high-volume plinking session. Factory boxes are a unicorn hunt. Premium brass is fiercely expensive. This is a dedicated reloading project for advanced shooters in 2026. But once you dial in the perfect charge, it delivers way more kinetic energy than a Creedmoor, and it spares your shoulder from the brutal beating of a .300 Winchester Magnum. It is a sleeping giant for extreme distance lethality. Number 1. The .35 Remington. taking the crown today is the absolute boss of the backwoods. Most of us just call it the 35 Rem. This rimless, bottlenecked bruiser hit the scene in 1906. It was engineered for the semi-automatic Remington Model 8, but it truly found its home inside a lever-action tube. Look at the historical context here. Remington rolled out an entire family of rimless cartridges back then. The 35 is the only one that survived the test of time. The reason is simple. It puts animals in the dirt, right now. Imagine the classic 30-30 Winchester. Now imagine it went to the gym and got a serious attitude problem. It pushes a massive .358 caliber projectile. That creates an enormous transfer of kinetic energy. The wound channels are absolutely staggering. Now, this is not your 1,000-yard sniper setup. Your effective working space is inside 200 yards. Realistically, you want to be under 150. But if you are sitting in a blind waiting for a Pennsylvania whitetail, or you are staring down a black bear over a bait barrel, nothing hits harder. It carries enough payload to cleanly take an elk if you do your part behind the trigger. When you are hunting deep in the swamp or the thick pines, you do not want an animal running. You want it anchored on the spot. The Marlin 336 made this round an American institution. It relies on heavy mass and rapid, violent expansion. The main issue today is sourcing the ammunition, and bullet options for the reloader are a bit sparse compared to newer 35 calibers. But this cartridge was putting meat on the table before the First World War, and it still outshines the latest internet fads when you are standing in the timber. It is not wearing a flashy marketing label, but it remains the absolute king of the deep woods. When you step back and look at this lineup, the truth is glaringly obvious. Efficiency absolutely beats industry hype. Cartridges like the 7mm Mauser and the Bob, they prove that brilliant case architecture and bullet sectional density will easily outclass raw, blinding speed. Then you look at the heavy artillery. The 4570 demonstrates that sheer momentum is an unstoppable force of physics. These are not obsolete, dusty relics. They are highly refined ballistic tools. They were engineered by men who knew that missing or simply wounding a target was not an option, because you rarely got a chance to cycle the action for a follow-up shot. If you spend time at the reloading press, these 5 casings give you ultimate control. They provide a functional versatility that highly specialized modern cartridges simply lack. If you are in the market for a new hunting rig or a truck gun, do not overlook these heritage powerhouses. They will easily outperform the guy in the next stand holding a $5,000 carbon fiber setup. All right, that wraps up our time on the line today. These are 5 legendary rounds that refuse to quit the fight. If this breakdown helped you cut through the static, do me a favor. Smash that like button right now. It feeds the algorithm and keeps this channel pushing out the cold, hard truth. Jump into the comments section down below. I want to know exactly what legacy caliber you are still hauling into the tree stand. Make sure you are subscribed and hit the notification bell. You do not want to miss our next deep dive into the weapon systems that built this country. Stay dangerous, stay sharp, and I will see you on the next one.